going to need more than an hour.
Here's another episode of
some
Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place we're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, we'll get right to it. We have the mayor on today. He has lots to tell y'all. He has a list that he'd like to go over a little bit. Also, we talked about last night's meeting. We're going to talk about some of the things he felt like he has accomplished in the last 2+ years as mayor, and anything else that's on his mind. So let's go.
And your questions.
And my questions. And also, if you have questions on the screen,
Yes.
please jump in. We're going to go ahead and get through the sponsors so we can get right to it, because I have an appointment after the show, 12:15. I don't know. Sorry.
Are you excited about it or not? That'll tell me what type of appointment it is.
With the bank.
Oh, that's
yeah. It's a good bank.
That's kind.
Yeah, but you are.
Either way.
Yeah, it can. CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Thank you, Daniel, for what you're providing for the community and by sponsoring the show. Check out the webpage at CrossFitBurleson.com for training programs and regimens. Thank you, Shandy, for not only your sponsorship, but also your willingness to serve. As you know, she's running for Place 4 on the school board. And on that note, there's a third candidate for Place 4. Caleb Mitchell's his name, and I'll be meeting him for the first time next Thursday, so y'all can get your first opportunity to meet Mr. Mitchell. But thank you also, Shandy, for the real estate services. And in order to be fair also, both these two candidates are running against Alice Owen, and I believe she has an event tomorrow. I can't give all the details because I don't remember them and I don't want to misstate them, so check out our webpage. Also, thank you to Otto at our place, a place to do business, a place to get things done, get a good breakfast or lunch, good deal. Thank you to Chris over at Wild Cigar. The mayor may not be a smoker or a drinker right now, but he may be soon. So, good place to do it, and good place for you to be broken in.
I've heard people that actually drank at breakfast. What, a mimosa?
What of it?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Are you saying a cigar and mimosa?
Not a cigar, no.
Okay.
I wait till later in the day. A mimosa. Well, that's quaint. Anyway, thank you, Wild Cigar, for what you do.
Too.
Yeah. Thank you also to Tiffany. A new magazine is out, Local Life magazine. You should have it in your home. It goes to 30,000 of them, so it's a great place to direct market. Plus, it has information about the city and the center of it. So you find out, like, for example, the pub crawl they got going on for St. Patty's Day.
It's a good event.
Yeah. What I like about St. Patty's Day, it's this Saturday. I believe it starts in the evening. What I like about St. Patty's Day, everybody's Irish on that day, just like everybody's Hispanic on Cinco de Mayo. It's just a good excuse to...
I'm Scottish.
Yeah, so, well, you don't need an excuse then. You have a built-in excuse.
Hey, they don't have a list. They don't have an exception on anybody. I can still go.
Okay. Local Life magazine, check it out. Also, thank you to Southern Jim, to find Julie on the third floor of the Windmiller building. It's going to be on the bottom floor in about 5 weeks, we hope. This is Miss Nancy's favorite place, no doubt. But they got some new inventory. You know, they got.
Man, the sign out front looks good.
Yeah, and it's going. What I've always complimented Gayla on is that it's going to have a place to park the husbands while the ladies go shop. You know, it's going to have like a big screen TV for the ball game or whatever, and some Dr. Pepper or maybe some wine. I don't know what she's going to do, but she's going to have refreshments of some sort.
We understand.
Yeah. So
Neiman Marcus used to have a place where the guys could sit.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be nice. And then, and also, if you really want something, I guess, more flamboyant, you can go next door to Revelry and hit their bar. Yeah. Also, thank you to Hotworks, Michelle. I just saw her last week. She's doing great. She's got 2 operations now, but the one in Burleson is the one she wants you to go to on 731 on John Jones near the theater, and Chicken Salad Chick and whatnot. So it's a great place to work out. I hear a lot of great things from people. Many of the guests I've had on the show are clients, and they just rave about it. Also, Melissa Harmon at Texas Farm Bureau. She's my agent, 682-804-0534. She'll check out your insurance policies, make sure that you're insured for enough, particularly, with the rising costs of housing and materials. You want to make sure your insurance will cover you in case you have a bad day. So 682-804-0534. Also, a couple of nonprofit things going on. We have the BNI Business Connect. This is my networking group. We meet every Wednesday morning at 8:45 at the Hampton, which I know is not in Burleson, but we're hoping we're going to be moving it maybe to a Burleson establishment in about 2 weeks. So
good.
We keep it business in Burleson rather. But BNI is a great networking group. I've had several of the members on as guests. I have 3 of them on as sponsors, and so it's a good place to connect for business. 8:45 at the Hampton every Wednesday, and we have a big Visitors Day on the 29th of this month. And also on April 1st, we have Light Up the Night with the Center for ASD. I guess this is one of those things mayors do is they go to all these events, right? But so you've been to Center of ASD more than once.
Nancy's had lunch with Lisa, and we helped them out quite a bit. And yeah, this was kind of off to the side. They weren't getting the word out, and I was invited over, and it's a great organization, and it touches your heart if you walk through and see what these guys are going through, and you got to think of the family. Now, ISD has a ASD challenge students, I guess. I'm probably not saying this correctly.
Well, they're on the autism spectrum.
Yeah, they're there, but the ISD takes care of them during the day, and there's situations where parents work at night.
Right.
So,
and I have a friend whose son, who's older than high school age, who still uses their services and whatnot, and this family just swears by it. They think it's one of the best things Burleson has.
You know, one of the things that just really impressed me a lot is the volunteers that help especially ASD. That is a challenging job. I know Harvest House has phenomenal volunteers. You know, these nonprofits wouldn't be if it wasn't for volunteers.
And that's, I've said this many times, that's one of the advantages of doing this podcast is I get to sit here and listen to all these different wonderful people, what they do. And I guess as mayor, you get the same kind of global view as well. And
it's the problem I've got is I try to help a lot of them, but you can't help everybody.
Right. Well, let's get right to it. No, there are no questions yet. They'll be here hopefully sooner or later. But anyway, a couple of people said, hey, the Scots are watching, and they said hello. What would you like to talk about first? You know, one thing I was going to bring up is that 311 program. You've mentioned it before, but I don't know if all the citizens are aware it exists. So what is 311?
This is the new call system. And instead of having to look up a number for the city, it's just 311. I don't know how that works when you have people coming here from out of town, if you have to register. They say it's automatic, and it's a tracking type system that happens. But anyway, you hit 311, it will go to trained dispatchers. They will be knowledgeable on nearly all the subjects. But the 311 system is also a tracking system. It is a real-time data entry system that works with all the departments. You call up and you want to know if let's say you want to pay your bill. What time do they close? That person will have that information on their screen. Something simple as is the function at Russell Farms, is it being canceled, or what time does that start, or who's going to be there? These people will be versed with the screen in front of them. This is very superficial right there. But then we go down through this deal. Pick a department. You want to go to Public Works?
Sure, why not?
You'll have an interactive screen that you can go to your computer and literally click on the area you're wondering about. It'll show all the jobs going on. You can click on it, and it'll be real-time information. All these departments, I'm sorry, I'm bad name. Jesse, yes. Jesse Elizondo,
right,
is like oh my gosh, he is a live wire on this, and you can tell when he talks, he gets excited and starts talking faster. Jimmy, slow down. Golly, Molly.
Well,
Jesse, slow down. And
Bill, lighten up over there. Bill's giving you a hard time by name.
I agree with you, Bill. I'm sorry. I get fired up. But this 311 thing, but it's not just the fact that you're calling in, getting information quicker, having things available to you quicker. It's the fact that it tracks it. You get your calls sent to a department. It has a tracking time of how fast it's answered, or if it's not answered, and when they were called back. All the data is there to fix problems we have. And for Jesse to get all the department heads in, and these people, these meetings, Jesse gets that excitement going, and they start, well, we can do this. And another department head will say, well, we can do this over here. Well, let's tie it together. I mean, this is a group of people that is making it happen. And this 311 thing is going to be phenomenal for stuff. I mean, you can, if you got a problem, you do 311, they can transfer you to 911 immediately.
Mm-hmm.
This is all interactive.
Where is this housed? Where is this located at City Hall or some other location?
I think it's in City Hall right now. I'm not sure. I know they've been testing this since November. I didn't want to send it out there until we knew it was legitimate. And I'm going to tell you, this was a very simple statement that I made to the city manager on this, that our customer service wasn't where it should be. And I said to Brian, we need to take a look at this. That was the only sentence I said to Brian. And it was about 6 months later, there was some things happened at the director level. And Brian offered Jesse the job. And he jumped on it, and he has not slowed down since. I'll walk by, and he'll say, Mayor, come here. I want to show you something. You know, it's really neat.
You have to hose him down a bit, huh?
I don't want to hose him down. I want to keep him going. This guy's good.
Well, for us older folks, I still much prefer the phone in a lot of ways, because instead of like, okay, I'll get on the webpage and I'll scroll through this and go through all these clicks and links and whatever else. Sometimes you just want to pick up the phone. What's that noise out there? Is that you? No, it's somebody outside. We have some little kids running around out there. Back to what I was talking about. I like to pick up the phone and go right to source, as opposed to voice, human being, as opposed to the tree phone that you go through. Plus, or you get on a website and you have to click through like half a dozen things, and you don't know exactly where you're going. I feel like on this thing, I could call them up and say,
absolutely.
Are they going to be building or repairing a street? I hear. Or where are the street repairs? Because I need to plan my route. Any number of things you could do. Or
and here's the deal:
library hours, whatever.
Each department is entering data.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we have a project and we're missing a piece of equipment, or we can't get supplies. That explanation is on that project that you click on the map.
So, how long has this been in the works? You said about 2 years, roughly, or a year?
No, it hasn't been 2 years.
Well,
I'm going to say more than a year.
More than a year? Okay.
Yeah.
And Ms. Jones, Jackie says, good job for all the 311 council members for the 311 program. As far as this personal accomplishments, this is available online, right, on your Facebook election page?
MayorChrisFletcher.com.
Okay.
The reason I brought this, if you remember in the last show, you wanted me to say, well, what are your achievements? And I said, it's boring.
And
you said, well, go ahead. And I was, about 10 seconds, 15 seconds into it?
No, about 3 or 4 minutes into it, sir.
Oh,
you were a lot longer.
We can go back and look, right?
Okay, yes, Taylor? No, we ain't got
roll the tapes.
Yeah.
Taylor's just shaking his head.
I don't know. I remember I got up, I had a sandwich, whatever, came back, and you were still just going on.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, you said you're right, it's boring, so we moved on. You can go online and pull this up, and this is my achievements. It has nothing to do with any council member. It does include our city manager and some of the staff that's helped me get some of this stuff done. But this is strictly what I've done. Down below this on our website is something I'm also proud of. I'm proud of the whole council, and that's all the projects that we have approved. And a lot of the stuff is back when Mayor Shetter was here. I've given credit to him. I don't take credit for something that I wasn't. Any development. Let's go to any type of business coming into town. Okay, anything, the big ones. The people that get that done is economic development. We vote yes or no on it. That's all we do. I'm not going to sit here and take credit for something that I didn't do. And that's what the next part of the website is literally 4 pages of what council has done in 2 years. We have gotten a lot done as a council. What I'm talking about on my personal achievements is stuff that's got people's attention that Burleson is here in the needs through the TRTC. And we had nobody on these commissions, nobody on these councils or coalitions, anything. We had no representation. Now, I'm on the TRTC. Dan is back up for Commissioner Bailey on the RTC, and we've gotten Victoria on the COG. We was at a summit on the COG, and this was the get-together where they introduced the new people coming onto the COG, which was Victoria. And I remember standing up, and I remember looking at the city manager, and he looked like deer in the headlights. But I stood up and I asked this question, said, I'm Mayor Chris Fletcher from Burleson, and we're not getting any attention in Burleson on our roads. And this was to TxDOT. And I remember I become good friends with the mayor of North Richland Hills, Oscar Trevino. I remember when I stood up, Oscar was looking behind a chair laughing at me because I'm known for asking questions. The people from TxDOT didn't have an answer. They had nothing on the radar for Burleson.
Well, I'm just looking in a summary of this. There's several mentions here of infrastructure related.
That's what all this is
things,
about.
yeah,
This is majority of it. Now this has gone into. Now I'm on the THHC, which is Tarrant County Homeless Commission. They
really?
Yes.
Okay, we definitely have seen an uprising.
We don't see a major problem, but it's headed our way. So I also do the TCHC. There's things like that. I'm also part of some of the veterans' mental health things, working with Texas Health. Russ Weaver has been great on this, trying to get some stuff done in Burleson to take care of these people. There's a lot of things going on right here that has nothing to council. The mayor, I hear I don't run meetings very well, and I'm going to have to agree with them. But, we stick to the agenda and we get things done. At the end of the day, we get things done. Okay? That's all I'm going to say on that. Do I run it perfect? No. I tell you what, I was so impressed with the way Ken Shetter ran his meetings. The other day, I reclused myself from a vote because the person it was about was my treasurer, Carter. And I went in and I watched how I gave it over to Dan, and I went into the workroom and I watched it on the screen. I came back out. As I watched by Dan, I leaned over and I said, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Okay? And he was laughing. He said, well, don't grow up. And I said, well, it's a little late for that. But that's where we're at. I know I don't do the perfect job, but everything is legal.
Well, at the end of the show, we'll talk about the agenda 8B from last night. But I'd like to focus on a couple other things prior to that. When we had a chamber event over at Pathways a week ago Saturday.
Yes.
It was really nice. You were there, of course.
Yes.
It just reinforced the need for having a space for the city.
I agree.
And I just hope if you're fortunate enough to win, or if Mr. Johnson wins, that will be a high priority for the city, is getting some sort of
venue.
Venue of sorts. So because it's not going to happen overnight, but it's got to start somewhere.
There's a couple of things going on with that. During the election last time, I wanted to do something with the golf course. And about 3 weeks as being mayor, I loaded the city manager up, and I drove him over to the parking lot of the softball fields on Hidden Creek. And I said, look at this view right here. And I want to show you what we have to represent us up here. There's a tin barn. There's a storage fence behind it with junk on it. And we are wasting this. So he has put together, we are working with people right now to develop the front of the golf course. We've done $600,000 to get the golf course back in shape. But what you're talking about is a venue where we can meet. If we had a hotel on that area, we would then be able to have major golf tournaments.
Okay, Sarah has a question I'm going to hold for later, okay, because she has to, she asked me to present this question for her, but she has to leave. She has,
Let's go ahead and do it if you want to.
Well, all right, let's
go ahead.
All right, you probably read, what does it say here? It says, we have seen some posts that are not factual in nature, but are clearly in support of your reelection. Can you clarify, does Jenny Grant have an official role in your reelection campaign? There are claims that you have tasked her with the social media aspect in an official capacity. Is that true?
Yes, it is. And I have to call Jeannie down every once in a while. I appreciate that. She's supposed to have simple likes and hearts and stuff like that. Sometimes she kind of steps out of her role.
Well, she did.
And if I catch it, I will get it deleted or whatever. But she has been helpful to me because I can't cover all the stuff going in. We have gotten a huge request for signs, and she helps manage that and gets out to people.
But she did accuse Mr. Johnson being a Democrat. I mean, my goodness, son. I mean, you call
shouldn't
people a
do
lot
that.
of things. In Texas, you can call them, a scoundrel and a rascal, but call him a Democrat. My goodness.
Well, and he says he's a Republican, but
Yes.
he's got signs on people that had Beto and Biden
Well,
signs up.
okay.
So,
I
and
haven't really
only two. Everything else, I'd said, but
I don't know Ms. Grant personally. I only know her
pretty
through.
passionate about
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the way I was going to put it, as tactfully. I've seen some of her posts, and she didn't put much sugar on it, and I just don't. Is this really
Sarah, I
what?
hope everything's going okay.
Oh,
over
it's
there.
it's just it's. We already asked her about it. These are checkups. They're going on a trip pretty soon, and they're just making sure they got what they need. So God willing, there's nothing more than that. Miss Rachel Brainerd Elder, whom I've known for a long time, she has spread a lot of misinformation. Unfortunately, hopefully that can be remedied. I have to agree with Rachel and Sarah. From what I've seen, that Jenny Grant, whom again I don't know, has put stuff out there that is kind of.
Do me a favor, and I'm very sincere about this. There is I know Sarah's got my number.
Right.
If you would take a picture of it or a screen, I'm not a Facebook fan, and a lot of stuff is coming across. When I pull it up, if it's not in front of me, I don't see it. Send it to me, and I'll get it rectified. I'll verify that. I'll make sure if it's misleading or something like that, I'll do something about it. But I don't see some of this stuff.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your asking. When someone contacts the mayor's page, is Jenny Grant answering the questions?
She's not supposed to be answering for me.
Okay.
And we've had the talk last night and today. I actually deleted something about my accomplishments, and that was the dog park and something else. That's not my accomplishments. That is council accomplishments. These are my accomplishments. This is stuff, and it doesn't have anything to do with what council has approved.
Bill says Shelley, whom I don't know. Is this
It's the same person.
the same person? Shelley and Jenny?
Jeannie is her mother,
Okay.
and she couldn't change the account after her mother died.
Oh, so it's the same person. Okay, I got it. All right. She's using Chris's campaign account to like derogatory comments against Ronnie Johnson.
Send me a picture. She's not supposed to be doing that.
Okay. Well, I guess, I mean, this is news to me, I guess, because I don't know these people, but they apparently, Bill, Rachel Elder, Jackie Jones, they seem to find this to be a very uncomfortable situation to have Jenny answering your questions.
Well, it's my call.
Okay. There you go. That's all.
But when she steps out of line, take a picture of it and send it to me, so I'm made aware of it.
Okay. Anyway, that being said.
Go ahead. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, there'll be more because there was some interesting conversation last night. I was going to finish up on a couple other things and then get to that, but it looks like they're jumping ahead of me, and that's fine.
Bill, get a hold of those and send those to me.
Yeah.
I need to know.
I saw him speak last night, and he had a lot to say.
He did.
One last thing, and then we'll get to last night. One of the things I think in our conversations, you've been you were the most proud of was that bond election, because you got it passed narrowly, but you were very proud of the fact that it was going to do some benefit from the good. Have we started to see any of that benefit for the town?
Oh, absolutely. Have you seen on Renfro?
Well,
Yeah, they're flagging Renfro, getting ready to
Yeah.
put the 6 lanes in, all that. That's going to be a mess.
yes, it is.
Remember, we got Hidden Creek. We can get in through that way.
Every time I hit a pothole or get detoured, I say, I'm going to call the mayor. Anyway, so
They do.
they do.
I tell you, I had one guy on Fox Lane, the concrete bridge, the asphalt had dropped down 3 inches. He sent me an email. I sent it to the city manager, and they just happened to be in the area, and they had it fixed in like 3 hours. We don't get that every time, but, if you have a pothole, mayor at Burleson TX, send it to me. I'll send it to the right people, period.
I'm getting a message here from Mr. Janish that is doing what you ask about sending some of the negative comments that are being
Either a picture or a screen, whatever you do with stuff.
It's a picture off on the Messenger on Facebook Messenger. So I don't know if you may have
Bill's got my number.
Yeah,
I got Bill's number too. You got that?
yeah. Some gentleman named Gary Cochran was commenting negatively about your former opponent, and so
Gary doesn't work for me.
yeah, I don't even know who that is. Tell you the truth,
He has Burleson
Residents Talking.
Burleson Residents
That's
Talking.
one of the names sound familiar. Well, see, people think because I do this podcast, I must know everybody, but I really don't. I know a lot of people by name, but last night was the first time I've ever seen Susan Cato. I see her name a lot, but I don't know as many people as I would like to.
She's not one of my fans.
Yeah, I gathered that. Bill said he texted it to you also, so you'll be getting it as well.
Bill, do you want me to shut Brad down and read that? And just you want me to do that now?
No, you could do that on your own time. We got a limited time here.
I know we got a lot to go through.
Well, you're talking about back to Renfro. It's like that's a mixed blessing. I mean, because when you live, there's only really one way to avoid it, and that's to go Hidden Creek.
That's right.
Or the backcountry.
But when if we don't fix it now, when do we do?
No, I'm not saying we shouldn't.
The bond is something that is.
We have to fix it, but there you are.
Every time you look over there, I have to look too. The bond package, we were way behind on our infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm not blaming anybody, nothing at all. But the thing we have to get caught up. We got blindsided with growth. Mm-hmm. We don't have a choice but to get our roads done. If that bond package would have failed, we couldn't have done anything on our roads for 3 years by rule. Mm-hmm. So it was very important for me to get out there and explain why we were doing it and going for it. Well, I only answered questions about the bond. I did not say I wanted it. So all the meetings was about explaining. Mm-hmm.
Well, you worked pretty hard for it. No, you worked pretty hard, and you had the documents there. We did a show right prior to the vote and all that, and I know it was something you were pushing, and it narrowly passed. It was interesting because some of the people that had voted for you in the first election weren't in favor of that.
But let's figure out why they weren't. Mm-hmm. Okay, mm-hmm. They said that our property rate was going to go up. There's a couple of things wrong with that statement. We gave nearly 3 cent reduction again 2 years in a row. We're nearly at 7 cents in 2 years. Mm-hmm. Our finance department only figured in a 3% growth. We will beat that. We did have 1 cent available that we could have given to the reduction, and I said I didn't want to do that because, and Ronnie says the same thing. We don't know what the economy is going to be like in 23 and 24. If we'd have given 1 cent and found out that our number is going to work in the budget, we have to go back to the citizens for an increase. So when you guys look at this and our property rate's going to go up, you have control of that. If you don't want it to go up, all you got to do is vote no. Mm-hmm. So this is not up to the council. You have protection against going up. The problem we have, or the situation we're in, is the city has to be very careful that we can pay our bills. Okay? We don't want to stockpile money. That means we're not using your money efficiently. The bond is a way to get our product done. Mm-hmm. It doesn't increase our payment unless the Fed rate goes up, which it has. It's going to come up a little bit.
That's what I read also, yes.
Yes. So the whole thing is deal. It is not, it's been called a blank check on the bond, and we have no control of it. We do. Every project on the bond, the council can stop at any time we want to. Just because it's on the bond doesn't mean we have started it or drawn money on it. When we start a project, it comes to council, and council votes on whether we want to move forward on it or not move forward on it. We have no liability on the loan because we haven't pulled the money out of it yet.
Yeah. I understand, and I think that's wise because I have concerns about the economy. I know Mr. Johnson does too. That's one area of agreement between.
As bad as it is right now, you go to Old Town and the place is packed. Mm. You can't go out for less than $20 anymore.
Well, that's true there. I mean, things have gotten expensive. But that's beyond our control. But one of the things you said here is you talk about transparency issues. I'm going to put this as delicately, politically.
Just let it out, Brad. Don't tiptoe.
8B last night on the agenda was dealing with Victoria's request for a reprimand for Mr. Stanford's actions towards the library. I thought she was very diplomatic and professional approach.
She was sensitive to it.
Yeah, and she seemed to do it without any kind of rancor at all. the other three council members spoke in favor of it. I mean, they weren't all hollering and yelling, but they all spoke in favor of it. You were a bit more reluctant. Why was that? I mean, reluctant
Does anybody remember the last two times we got into
Well, let me
investigations?
be clear what I'm asking. Not reluctant to criticize his actions, but reluctant to have a written reprimand. That's what I meant to say. You were not really excited about going that route. You wanted him to be told what he did was.
It's called sweeping it under the rug. That's what everybody's calling it. What it is I'm tired of the city having situations where statements like it's an embarrassment to the city. It is. And I explained my position.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the cameras on here. We all agree that it was truly inappropriate. I was the first one to dress Jimmy down online when he did it. Jimmy and I got into a very bad discussion over the phone about it. He knows how I feel about it. Mm-hmm. I agree with the other four. But every time we put something up, it goes down these trails that is extremely embarrassing. I just didn't want to have to face it another time. And since everybody else wanted to do it, I said, okay, let's get it up. How do we get it drafted? Mm-hmm. And the lawyer stepped in. We will draft that, and we're going to bring it at the next meeting, and I will sign it.
Well,
but this is not about one incident. It's about people everywhere watching us air our dirty laundry.
Well, I want to take a conversation you and I had off the air, and it's not going to embarrass you, I promise you, but you and I talked afterwards that you had this conversation with Jimmy. You didn't say that in the last time, but you and I talked about your conversation with Mr. Stanford, and you were pretty frank with him.
I was.
And so I think people should know that, all right? So I did kind of violate the off-the-record rule, but hopefully this will...
We get down, I'm going to take you outside.
Okay, fine. But no, yeah, well...
We will have secret cameras.
Brad, you and I have always been able to be open.
Right, but you did talk to him, and he did express your discontent with him. I personally think Victoria, though, has a point that these kind of things sometimes politics and these kind of things are performative arts, and people need to see these things enacted. Not, okay, I spoke with him, and he's repentant or whatever, but that the people need to see that there is some sort of formal accountability for what he did, in the sense that he bypassed the city manager and dealt directly with the library and then bragged about it later. I think Victoria does have a point. I know that you want this to be done and over with, and we believe us, the community does too. We don't care for having to deal with this every couple of weeks. But I think it's also important that people see a formal accountability taking place.
Well, and I agree. I'm criticized for not shutting people off, but don't you want to see this action? Doesn't the citizen need to see some of these things said so they can vote how they want to?
Yes, I do. But I think the fact that the city employees, whom you have praised profusely here on the record and off the record, need to see that those kind of actions aren't going to be tolerated again. Because it wasn't just that Jimmy Stanford made a mistake and he bypassed the chain of command or whatever, but he was very excited about it. He seemed to be reveling in the fact that he was making things happen. And then when he was brought to his attention that he violated the charter, he was very stubborn about the whole thing. Publicly,
the charter was designed for employees,
right? Well,
and I don't know the charter well enough in this case to really know if he violated, but it was designed for employees. Mm-hmm. He ought to be held to a higher standard personally. Mm-hmm. We are in charge of the attitude of the town, and when you do that, that destroys that relationship.
I think also what got under a lot of people's skin was that the fact that they have not, at least publicly, on Facebook or any other forums, seen any kind of remorse on his actions or like, I'm sorry.
That's his problem.
Yes, well, it's our problem, sir, because he has influence on the city council, and he is in a decision-making capacity, at least as long as his term is up. So,
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
Yeah, I know. I know you're not your brother's keeper. You can't control everything that comes out of his mouth or anything like that. But I just have to agree with Victoria, not just because we're old friends and and we're pretty close. But also, I think she's right that a formal reprimand might get the message across more. If not to him, at least to the people in the community and the employees, that we won't stand for this. That's why I think you're right. At the end of the day, you said you're going to, move it forward, and you'll probably sign it and all this other stuff.
I will. I'll sign it.
Right.
I disagree with what he did.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just trying to minimize drama.
Yeah, please. That'd be nice. I know, and I'm not trying to hold you responsible for what he did, because I know the day after, when all this was blowing up, it was on the 14th or roughly, you did write a very well-written post about your response to all this. And, if people want to read it, it's dated the 14th or 15th on your page. And you don't really write a lot of personal stuff on your page.
I don't get on Facebook enough.
Well, you think it's a swamp. Something. It's like me and Twitter. I hate Twitter.
Oh.
I won't even touch it. But, so I would direct people who are concerned about how you feel about the matter to check out, because it was well written, and I liked it, and I commented on it, how well done it was. I just think that I think the majority of the council is correct, and this has got to be publicly known that this is not going to be the norm, that our employees don't.
And I'm on board with the majority of the council. I'm okay with that. But if I could have cut off some of this, and I'm scared to look at the screen.
No. They're not bashing you for it at all. Really, they're just saying that they're just saying how they agree with this, how the council's handled it.
Okay, and yeah, I'm going to go. I really am a team player. If you'll notice in any of the meetings, I always ask questions of the other council members and make sure everybody's opinion is noted. I even ask construction questions. I asked Dan. How would you do this? Real estate questions, I've asked Rick before.
Yeah, we're going to miss him on the council, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I mean, his replacement to be Mr. Russell.
I'm really excited.
No, that's
about
not
the
Mr.
new.
Russell. It's who's? It's
Adam.
Adam.
Russell.
No, Adam's running for Ronnie Johnson's old
You
spot.
talking about Larry?
Yeah, Larry. Okay. No, Larry's going from his Payne spot. So I'm talking about Phil Anderson and this young man Jake Ornette, whom I have not met yet. They're the ones that's going to replace Rick.
Jake's going to be a contender later on. Mm-hmm. Right now, he doesn't have backing, but I tell you what, I spoke behind him the other day. Mm-hmm. He's better than I am. So,
well, I never met him. I don't know anything about him.
He's a great kid.
Okay,
but it's just not time for him yet.
Well, maybe so. And of course, I've known Phil Anderson forever. I mean, when you worked together at BISD as long as we did. So, I've known him.
I've given Phil a lot of money for that sign out there.
Did you now? Okay. Yeah. I was speaking of signs. You were talking about, you want to talk about this, about that episode that you had after the meeting about one of your signs? Or is it just?
Yeah, I got we have a cell phone that you can call in and strictly for ordering, text me and for a sign. Mm-hmm. And I put one on Dobson. It was a large sign. And the lady called me up and said, your sign was taken last night. It was after 11 o'clock when it was taken. I said, that's okay. It happens. So I go over there and I put another one up. So I put a post out today thanking the person for leaving my post because it made it easier to put the new sign up. And I believe the post went down in the fact that the homeowner had a video of you. So I said, basically, you have one pass. And it's the only pass. And then I made a statement that, and I feel like Ronnie will back this, stealing's the heart of an individual. I don't know exactly how I wrote it. And I will not associate myself with anybody in my campaign that steals signs. And if I find out who you are, I will publicly tell everybody that you stole signs.
At what time was this sign stolen, do you think?
The camera said it was after 12 o'clock.
Well, then I would ask Sarah Carlson, what were you doing at 12 o'clock last night, Sarah?
Okay.
I know you're a late she's early morning and a night owl and all this. So we'll ask Sarah where she was at midnight, just to be sure.
Well, here's the problem. The tie wraps weren't cut. They were pulled off. Mm-hmm. So I don't think, Sarah, could you do that?
Well, she got 3 boys. One of them will figure it out.
All of them. I saw there was 2 of them on the ground, and whoever stole it was able to hook their finger in it and put. So I don't know if I want to meet the guy in a dark alley.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But anyway, anybody that's stealing signs, I won't say what I think of you.
Well, it's poor.
Both sides.
It's a very tactfully put. It's poor. It's just like
It shows your heart.
don't be a juvenile delinquent. I mean, stealing a sign is like going to say, well, his sign was stolen, therefore I won't vote for him. All they're doing is vandalism. They're not free speech or expressing a political viewpoint. They're just
That sign was
punks.
$40 too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the people just don't give you things. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, that's the reason I don't run, among other reasons. That first, I don't think I'd win, but second of all, because I don't want to go have to spend that kind of money. I mean, it takes money. So it's not just, these signs are not just it's not just a act of vandalism, but it's a
Jackie, I know he wouldn't. I included Ronnie in that deal.
No, that's true. Mr. Fletcher was very clear that he wasn't accusing Ronnie or his campaign of anything.
No.
And if anybody thinks they're working on Ronnie's behalf, they're doing just the opposite. And
I know that. I know. There's no doubt about that. This was no accusation.
Well, Ronnie actually responded himself. Okay. Yeah. It's I can assure everyone that
no doubt, Ronnie,
helping me would steal sign. Okay. Yeah. So that at least we have that. We don't have to go through that kind of controversy. But when it gets down to it, it's hard to campaign against people, because you all are friends. I mean, you and Ronnie, I know, are maybe at meetings will scuffle a bit like everybody does, every political body does, but it hasn't seemed to affect your working relationship yet.
Oh, we work together.
Yeah, because for the good of the city. And so, and that's a good thing. Now, I wouldn't want to sit in one of those executive council meetings or whatever, when it's off the record, but it's still, I'm glad to see that it hasn't gotten to the point where our city functions and services are being affected by any of this routine. Chris, I think you did the right thing last night. I know with Jimmy and all that, and y'all have had at least a friendly relationship. I don't know how close y'all are, and it's not easy to have to do that, but I think you did the right thing.
It was the right thing. I understand that. I'll probably get beat up pretty bad over it, but I would do it again.
That makes it fun. I mean, there's always going to be people going to have a sharp opinion about what you say or do. I mean, I get not as much as I used to, but I still get some, and I'm just like, thanks for listening. And that, so that's all my response will ever be. But I hope in the next meeting it comes up again, like this will be an agenda, and I hope Mr. Stanford will say, be appropriately conciliatory, and then we could just move on to some other issue that's really more important. I wouldn't bet my life savings on it, but I'm just saying, let's hope. Maybe in this time apart, he wasn't there last night. I believe he said he was at work. Okay, fine, good. Maybe he's had some time to think about all this, and maybe he'll come to a different conclusion, and he'll say, I'll handle it better next time. Let's hope.
So
yeah, and you never know, and that's the fun of being a mayor, is you get to deal with all this, among other things. We talked a lot about this stuff, but I wanted you to end up on a positive note. So we have a few minutes of tell us what a first-time listener who's just plugging into this show, what they should know about you and your running for mayor and the job you've done.
Well, it's been stated that the mayor only has one vote, and I agree with that whole deal. We look at towns that has a strong mayor government, and some of these towns are defunding their police. They're doing things that that should have been brought to council on those. So our type of government works for us, and you've got a good lay of the land in votes because we have 7 votes. The job of a mayor is to be the face of the city. But the other thing that the mayor has the ability to do, and any councilman can do this too, anybody can. But the job of the mayor is to go fight for our city. And in my case, not just the city, but the county. The appointments that I've had, especially on the NTTA and the TRTC, what I've been able to do is draw attention to Burleson. If you will notice, roads are getting put in place. You're fixing to have a new interchange at 917. 917 will be a 4-lane all the way to Mansfield. You'll say, well, what does that have to do with us? Because Renfro is now going to have 6 lanes to Hearst, which is the school, and then 4 lanes all the way to 917. When it leaves the city boundaries, it goes through the county. We were part of getting all that put together. The work with the county judge Bedecker, our commissioners, Mike White, Kenny, and all those guys, all of those. We now have a relationship with all the mayors. We have a meeting, a Johnson County mayor's meeting that was put together by our county commissioner, our county judge, Chris Bedecker. We now talk. We have a relationship with Cleburne, Joshua, and other towns. We are working together. So when we need a road, we go as a group and say, this is what we need regionally. That gets the attention of TxDOT. We have, because of what I've done, and because I have a city manager like Brian and a deputy city manager like Tommy, we have gotten grant money for our roads. This is stuff because we have been totally forgotten about. And I'm not blaming anybody. We didn't have the growth or the urgency we have right now. The reason I fought for that bond so hard is because if it had not passed, all of these roads would have had been put on hold for 2 years before we could have brought it back up. I'm not sitting here saying I did all this. I give credit to our city staff. I give credit for a God-sent person like the mayor of North Richland Hills that called me up and asked me to be on the TRTC. If that phone call hadn't been made, I wouldn't have met all these other people that has showed me how their cities do it, like our ambulance, like how to the bylaws of the RTC. You know, the bylaws of the RTC only comes up to committee every 3 years. This was the year it came up, and we were able to change the bylaws of the RTC that not only affected Burleson and Johnson County, but it affected 18 other counties and over 40 cities, because now the RTC will accept an elected city elected official, not just county elected officials. We got things done because I didn't sit in my chair. I went and fought for Burleson.
That sounds like a good bumper sticker.
It'll be here Wednesday.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, we got bumper stickers coming.
Oh, my. Okay. See, well, good for you. Well, I appreciate you being here. We already have a time schedule.
And I want to say something.
Go ahead.
You've always treated me fairly. I know we've gotten crossways, and I got a lot of criticism being on your show, but you've been a blessing to me.
I appreciate that. Oh, well, I appreciate that. It's very
You're not
kind,
always
sir.
right, though.
Well, yeah, I've been told that. I was told that a couple times a day by the missus, in fact. So there you go. Okay. Okay. Anyway, Matt Cobb says, please assure Mayor Fletcher he should never feel embarrassed for trying to right a wrong. Embarrassment lies on the shoulders of those who misbehave, not those who seek to correct it. So that's good comment, Mr. Cobb. Well, I appreciate you being on the show. We do have one scheduled in early April. I don't know the exact date. It's like April 7th or 9th or something. I have it in my electronic calendar. I just don't have that in front of me. So we'll have more opportunities, and we'll probably have more. I don't know. Hopefully, we won't have more drama to talk about. Let's just talk about roads and apartments and non-controversial things. But I have Mr. Johnson on next Tuesday, and he'll have his chance to respond to all this as well. And I'll let him speak his piece as well. And
thank you, Brad.
You betcha. And I'll see y'all Thursday with Caleb Mitchell running for school board.